Here's something I want you to think about for a second. Somewhere on your phone, or your laptop, or maybe in an actual physical drawer somewhere, there is a graveyard of beginnings. A course you bought and opened twice. A business idea that lived in your Notes app for 3 months before you quietly stopped adding to it. A creative project you were genuinely excited about until one day, without any real decision being made, you just stopped. A gym routine that felt life-changing in week 1 and invisible by week 4. And the thing is, it is never because you stopped caring. You still care. You care a lot, actually. You are probably one of the most curious, engaged, genuinely interested people you know. You light up around new ideas. You can spend hours going deep on something that fascinates you. The energy is real. But something happens at a certain point. And you have probably noticed the pattern by now, even if you have never quite been able to name it. The beginning feels electric, and then somewhere in the middle, something shifts. It stops feeling exciting and starts feeling like work, like obligation, like a version of yourself you are not sure you want to be locked into. And before you fully realize what is happening, something new has caught your attention, and the cycle begins again. Here's what I want you to hear before we go any further. This is not a discipline problem. It is not laziness. It is not some fundamental flaw in your character that means you will never follow through on anything. What psychology has found is that this pattern has a very specific set of causes, and almost none of them are about the thing you started. They are about what starting over protects you from, and that is what we are going to get into today. There is actually a neurological reason why starting something new feels so good. When your brain encounters novelty, it releases dopamine, not as a reward for finishing something, just for the newness itself. Neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp, who spent decades studying the brain's emotional systems, identified what he called the seeking system, a primary drive that generates intense excitement and motivation, specifically in the pursuit of something, not in the having of it. This means your brain is literally wired to feel most alive at the beginning of things. The problem is that the middle of anything worthwhile does not feel like seeking. It feels like grinding. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is visible now. The initial excitement has metabolized, and your brain, which just got a taste of what novelty feels like, starts quietly looking for the next hit. This is not weakness, it is biology. But understanding it matters because the middle is exactly where everything real is built. Nobody builds anything worth having in the beginning. They build it in the part that stops feeling exciting. This one is subtle, but it is important. There is a version of you inside every new beginning. The version who finishes the course and changes careers. The version who launches the business and finally feels free. The version who sticks with the creative work long enough to find out if they are actually good at it. That version is compelling, genuinely compelling. And as long as you are still at the beginning, that version is still possible. But somewhere in the middle, potential starts collapsing into reality. And reality has edges. It has limitations. It has days where you sit down to work and produce something genuinely mediocre. It has moments where the gap between who you imagined you would be and who you actually are right now becomes impossible to ignore. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on fixed versus growth mindsets found something really relevant here. People who struggle to persist through difficulty often tie their sense of self-worth directly to their performance. So when the work gets hard and the results feel uncertain, continuing feels less like a challenge and more like a threat. Not to the project, to the self. A new beginning solves that threat immediately. The potential resets. The version of you who succeeds is possible again, and the discomfort disappears, at least for a while. You know that feeling when something shifts from exciting to effortful, and suddenly you are not sure you even want it anymore? That feeling is real, but it is worth asking whether what changed was actually your desire or just your comfort level. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, whose research on flow and deep engagement is some of the most important in modern psychology, found that genuine mastery of anything requires moving repeatedly through phases of discomfort and confusion before reaching clarity. He called this the struggle phase, and he found that most people interpret the struggle phase as a sign they chose the wrong thing, when it is actually a sign they are on the verge of a genuine breakthrough. The moment a pursuit stops feeling effortless is not the moment it stops being yours. It is often the moment it is about to become yours in a way the beginning never could have been. This one is harder to hear, but it matters. When life feels out of control, when a relationship is difficult, when your sense of self feels unstable, starting something new creates an immediate and powerful sense of agency. You are doing something, you are moving, you have a plan, and the people around you see energy and initiative, not avoidance. But sometimes, a new beginning is less about genuine direction and more about escaping the discomfort of wherever you currently are. Psychologist Dan Ariely's research on decision-making found that people consistently use action, even misdirected action, as a way to manage anxiety. Doing something feels better than sitting with uncertainty, and starting over is always doing something. It always looks like progress, even when it is moving horizontally instead of forward. If you have found yourself launching something new during a difficult period, and then noticing that the difficult period somehow followed you into the new beginning, this might be why. The new start changed the scenery, it did not change the underlying pattern. This is the one most people never say out loud. As long as you have not fully committed to something, as long as you are still in the early stages, still figuring it out, still not really trying at full capacity, you have a reason why it has not worked yet. You have not really gone for it. So the result does not count as the final answer. But if you go all the way, if you give everything you have to one path, one project, one version of yourself, and it still does not produce what you hoped, that is a different kind of pain entirely, because there is no buffer left. No, I could have if I'd really tried, just the raw result of your full effort meeting reality. Psychologist Albert Bandura called this self-efficacy protection, the way people unconsciously manage their belief in their own capability by never fully testing it. Because a partial effort that fails leaves the belief intact. A full effort that fails threatens something much deeper. Starting over is a way of never having to find out.
Here is the truth underneath all of this. Starting over is not ambition. It is a protection strategy that once made a lot of sense and now costs you more than it saves. Every time you loop back to a new beginning, you are not moving forward. You are moving around the thing that actually needs to happen, which is staying long enough to find out who you are when the excitement is gone, and the only thing left is the work and the choice to keep going anyway. Depth is not the end of possibility. It is actually where everything you have been looking for lives. The version of yourself you keep glimpsing at the start of every new thing. That version is not found in another beginning. It is built in the middle of the one you are already in. You do not need a new start. You need to go further into the one that got hard. If this video described a pattern you have been living with for a long time, leave a comment with the sign that felt most like you. And if it put words to something you have never quite been able to explain, share it with someone who might need to hear it. I'm ClarityWired. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.